Most videos that talk about how to heal your gut are complete garbage. Why? Because they don't tell you about the factors that influence gut health and how to influence those factors. They just tell you to not do this and to not do that, and to do this and to do that. This is bullshit. Why? Because when it comes to digestive health, you have many factors. Your problem could be in the large intestine, in the small intestine. It could be your liver. It could be your gastric acid production. There are many things we need to consider, and there are many things we need to troubleshoot for. And you need to give a person all the factors that have anything to do with digestive health. What am I talking about? If you take a boxer and you tell them do this and do that and do this and do that, that's garbage. Why? Because you don't know about the strengths and weaknesses of this boxer. You need to make the boxer understand that there's power, there's speed, there's defense, there's technique. The boxer needs to know that there are these factors that he has to work with. And then the boxer needs to identify what factors he's weak in and what factors he's strong in. After he's done that, he needs to identify the things he needs to do to improve his weaknesses. It's the same with digestive health. Just like the boxer needs to understand the factors that constitute a good boxer, you need to understand the factors that constitute a healthy digestive system. If you don't do that, then how are you supposed to know what to do? Now, why should you trust me? Because everything I say in this video I've done myself. I've tried it out and it has worked. I had severe bloating, digestive issues, a lot of leaky gut, a lot of acne, a lot of eczema, anxiety, which to a large degree stem from the health of the digestive system. Yes, all of those are connected, and I managed to heal all of it. I did it. I did exactly what you want to do. One of the most fantastic cases I've ever seen is the case of my friend's son. Son had severe IBD. He had a lot of colon inflammation. Every bowel movement he had, he would get bleeding. It would be very painful. He had lots of acne, lots of leaky gut. He went on a strict elimination diet and he managed to heal most of the colon inflammation. He was still on meds, then he read my book and then he went off the meds, and lo and behold, no symptoms. Today he's a very healthy man. He managed to do all of this in just a few months. Most of the results came in 1 month. And I've seen this process repeat itself countless times. And I want this for you. I want you to have this information because I know that there are a lot of people out there who are watching these garbage heal your gut videos on YouTube and getting nowhere because the advice that some of these YouTubers are putting out is not going to help anyone, to say the least. The first gut health factor is epithelial health. Now I want you to look inside of your mouth. Look at the insides of your cheeks or the insides of your lips, the back of your lips. So not the gums, but the other side. That's epithelial tissue, okay? That is what your intestines are sort of made of. They're different because they're supposed to absorb a bunch of nutrients, but essentially they're the same tissue. It's the same type of cell. Now, have you ever had blisters on the inside of your mouth? Something painful? Or have you ever had bleeding come from there? Inflamed tissue, something that burns. Well, imagine that you most likely have that somewhere inside of your intestines, either the small intestine or the large intestine, if you have some severe issue like IBS or IBD. Usually people with IBD will have this kind of intestinal environment. Usually people have leaky gut. That's usually what people suffer from. When we're talking about epithelial health, we want smooth, nice skin, and what leaky gut is these small little tears in the epithelium. And what happens is now food particles can pass into the bloodstream. Because remember, where the nutrients are supposed to enter, the gap is like this. With leaky gut, the gap is like this. Okay, so the gap is much larger than this even. So what happens is undigested food particles pass into the bloodstream. And what happens is they're poisonous. They're not supposed to be there. They will just mess up whatever is happening in the blood. And they will go to some place and, they could kill you if they keep being there. So during this entire meal, all of these particles are being passed into the blood. And what the blood has to do is it has to move them somewhere. And since the skin is the main detoxification organ, it pushes them through the skin. It pushes them as fast as possible through the skin. And this manifests as acne, as eczema, as these skin problems. And that's why usually skin problems that we see in modern society are due to leaky gut. And leaky gut happens because of processed food. Take some food, something from McDonald's that's filled with glyphosate and pesticides and fungicides and herbicides and a bunch of additives, and this toxic processed food that burns human tissue, and eat it. And what happens? You've got a bunch of things that kill bacteria, that thin mucus, that expose the lining, and then not only do they expose the lining, they also hurt the lining. Another example is Coca-Cola. You can use Coca-Cola to clean your toilet. It's very effective. Now what happens if you drink Coca-Cola, something that is that caustic? You drink it, and it passes into your small intestine. This stuff can clean toilets, and it's inside your small intestine. What do you think it will do to the walls of your small intestine? It will damage them, okay? What if you eat crispy processed food that can lacerate the small intestine? Well, obviously you're going to get leaky gut after a while. To give you a clear view of the issue, when it comes to things affecting your epithelial health badly, you've either got stuff that kills cells, so again, the processed food, the glyphosate, the fungicides, herbicides, pesticides, the pollution, the BPAs, the heavy metals, all of these things will mess up your intestines, and you've got the stuff that you need, which you aren't getting. You need vitamin A, you need collagen, you need protein. You need all of these vitamins and minerals to build tissue. And whenever food passes through your digestive system, there are cells that need to be replaced. Now, if you can't replace these cells when you're also creating a bunch of damage, then that's a recipe for disease. So with epithelial health and with most of these factors, we need to give our body the things it needs to regenerate, to build, and to replace the cells that are missing or are needed or are damaged or whatever it might be. And we need to remove anything toxic from our intestinal environment while minimizing the amount of toxic stuff that is entering. The second factor is mucus. Mucus is absolutely essential. When you produce gastric acid in your stomach, how is it that all of this stuff that's supposed to break down protein isn't breaking down the stomach itself? Well, it's because the stomach produces a bunch of mucus that hinders the stuff that digests protein from digesting the stomach, okay? You need mucus everywhere in your digestive system and in many other places to function correctly. At the same time, you might have heard that there are a bunch of people who say that mucus causes disease, that mucus forming foods cause disease, that it's a bad thing. It's the opposite. Your body needs to have a bunch of stuff to create mucus. Mucus is something that takes energy to create. It doesn't free up energy. We're not recycling something. We're creating something. We're taking minerals from the body and creating something. And for that, you need food. Mucus is what protects the entire digestive system. So if for some reason you're not able to create thick mucus, or you have a very dry digestive system like most people who have IBD and IBS have, then you need to work on that. You need to eat foods that supply a bunch of mucus, and you need to make sure that nothing thins the mucus. So again, the first factor, epithelial health. The second factor is mucus, because mucus is what protects the epithelium. The third factor is regeneration ability. Every day you're going to lose cells, right? You need to replace those cells. People who have disease or a lot of epithelial damage, a lot of damage in general, leaky gut, whatever it might be, are getting more damage than they can heal. This might be because they're getting a lot of damage or because they're getting very little nutrients. Because, remember, to build intestinal tissue, to rebuild damaged intestinal tissue, to create new cells, the body does that with protein and collagen, and for that it needs vitamin C, it needs vitamin A, it needs all of these vitamins and minerals, but especially protein and collagen. If you're someone who doesn't get a lot of collagen in their diet, you don't get a lot of protein in your diet, you don't get any vitamin A, no vitamin C, no nutrients in general, no vitamins, no minerals, you're not going to heal very quickly. You're going to have a wound and it's not going to heal very quickly. That's a reflection of how quickly you can regenerate intestinal damage. And again, you've already got intestinal damage that isn't healing, and it's just accumulating because you're not giving your body enough nutrients and you're not neutralizing the damage. Again, to build cells, you need resources. If you don't supply the resources, your body can't build cells. If you get a bunch of damage and you can't regenerate quickly enough, then the damage will accumulate. The way we reverse this is by getting a lot of nutrients in our diet. And I will tell you about what to eat in a moment, but we have to get through all of the factors first. The opposite of regeneration ability is technically not something that's a part of the health of your digestive system, but it's still important nonetheless. It is the amount of stress you subject your digestive system to, the total gross stress. So I want you to think about it this way. Imagine you've got a person who eats a standard American diet, and then you've got a person, and he also smokes, and you've also got a person who eats one meal a day, very nutrient dense, high quality food, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink alcohol, isn't stressed, puts no stress on their digestive system at all. How much regeneration do you think these two people are in need of? This is why an elimination diet is so effective, because most of the stress that you subject your digestive system to comes from the foods that you eat. If you remove all of the foods that might harm your digestive system, like nuts and seeds and legumes and grains, those are the big ones. Usually when people remove those, they get the best results. If you remove those, you're freeing up storage, so to speak. So now your body can handle the damage that occurred a few months ago, the stuff that isn't fixed yet. It doesn't have to handle the stuff it has to fix after every meal. Eliminating stuff from your life is just as important as adding stuff. So usually we think, okay, we need to take this probiotic supplement and we need to eat this type of fish and we need to do this type of smoothie. That's all bullshit. The bulk of it is in the things you don't do. When it comes to elimination, the bulk of it is pollution avoidance. What is pollution? Anything toxic. So alcohol, cigarettes, processed food, plastic, anything toxic. So shampoos, deodorants, all of these things, they also affect your digestive system. Remove all of those. And if you want to do this switch, to understand it better, why it's important, because you might not think that removing shampoo is going to fix your digestive system. And yeah, there are other things to do, but it's still important. So go and watch this video if you haven't. The next factor is, of course, your gut microbiome. And we're measuring the gut microbiome by two things, two factors, sub-factors you could say. Bacterial count, so how many bacteria you have in your digestive system, and bacterial diversity, so the amount of different bacteria that you have in your digestive system. Now, what does the gut microbiome do? Because you know that it's important, but no one's ever described what the gut bacteria actually does. In general, if you go and ask a person, they say, okay, oh yeah, gut bacteria is very important for digestive health, and then you tell them, okay, but what do bacteria do in your digestive system? And they go, I don't know. Scientists will say that, oh, they're a part of the immune system and they synthesize nutrients. Yeah, sure. Look, they're a living organism, okay? Just like you're a living organism, your bacteria are a living organism. Just like you need to eat, they need to eat. Whenever food passes through a place where they're at, they eat it, okay? And they shit it out. Just like you need to shit out, they also shit the food out. What happens is digestion. Bacteria digest food. Without bacteria, you can't digest food effectively. Okay? The better bacterial diversity and bacterial count you have, the better you're going to be at digesting food. The more nutrients you will get out of it. All those bacterial functions you've heard scientists talk about in your digestive system, bacteria do those by eating stuff and shitting it out. Vitamin synthesis, eat stuff, shit it out. Whoa, vitamin. Butyric acid production, eat stuff, shit it out. Ooh, butyric acid. Bacteria do all of these functions by eating stuff and shitting it out. So far, we've mostly looked at things that have something to do with the small intestine and the large intestine. We've talked about bacteria, the epithelium, the regeneration of the epithelium. We've talked about total stress that passes through the digestive system, things like that. But we haven't talked about the digestive organs. I'm going to pick 3 organs and I'm going to pick specific functions to simplify the matter, because otherwise it would be too complex. You've got the liver, you got the pancreas, and you've got the stomach. The stomach produces enzymes and gastric acid. Gastric acid is the main thing that breaks down protein, and when it comes to enzymes, we're mostly talking about pepsin. the enzyme that breaks down protein. With the liver, you've got bile production and you've got enzyme production here and there. You've also got a bunch of other functions, but we're mostly talking about bile for the sake of the video. Then you've got the pancreas. The pancreas produces a lot of digestive enzymes, and it also produces insulin. Because the pancreas produces insulin, it determines whether you will react in a good manner or a bad manner to carbohydrates. Now I'm saying that this factor is digestive organs, but by themselves these are factors. The pancreas is a factor, the liver is a factor, and the stomach is a factor. If you can't produce hydrochloric acid, whenever you eat meat, you're going to feel like something is sitting in your stomach. If you can't digest fat, then you've probably got a liver problem. If you can't handle carbohydrates, or still you can't break down fat because most of the lipase that we produce comes from the pancreas, well then you've probably got a pancreas problem. You see? So you need to fix all of these so that you can digest food. They are major players. The last factor is stored pollution. Now let me give you an example. Humans are very funny because most of the cigarette smokers will think that, okay, the bad stuff comes in to the lungs and then it does the damage, but then it comes out. No. The bad stuff went into your bloodstream. Whenever you do that, whenever you take the pollution in, it goes to the lungs. From the lungs, it goes into the bloodstream. Yeah, some of it comes out, but a lot of it goes into the bloodstream. And after it goes into the bloodstream, well, obviously your body doesn't want it there. So where is it going to put it? In fatty tissues and tissues in general. It's going to store it somewhere where it causes the least amount of damage. Your digestive system is made of tissue, right? You've got your liver, your pancreas, your stomach, your small intestine, your large intestine. They're all made of tissue. Who says you don't have a bunch of pollution in there? Who says you don't have an incredibly toxic liver? I think it makes sense to say that if you live in a toxic environment, so anywhere in modern society, you're going to have pollution in your digestive system. And I think it's fair to say that if you have pollution in your digestive system, if you were to remove it, your digestive system would work better. Now, if you're going to take anything from this video, take this. The thing that helps the most amount of people is cutting out everything except fruits and animal foods. Okay? Lots of animal foods, and then you can add in fruit later. But go on an animal-based diet, okay? Cut out vegetables, cut out grains, cut out legumes, cut out nuts, cut out seeds. Cut out everything and just consume animal foods. Why? The human digestive system is mostly suited for animal foods. It's not suited for vegetables. Why? The ones that eat grass, like cows, have 4 stomachs. They also have a digestive system specifically suited to digest fiber, cellulose, and to extract the nutrients from there. Okay? Same thing with gorillas. Same thing with goats. Same thing with horses. Okay? They have a vastly different digestive system. So yes, nothing happens when you eat raw vegetables. And let's say you're eating cooked vegetables. Why would you eat cooked vegetables? There are no nutrients in them, okay? Not the ones you need, at least. You need nutrients found in animal foods to heal tissue. Again, to build tissue, you need to consume tissue, okay? You can't consume plants because you're not trying to build plants inside of you. You're trying to build tissue. And if you're really not convinced yet, look at this picture, okay? This is the difference between the nutrient density of animal foods and the nutrient density of plant foods. Look at it, okay? You're going to get the majority of your nutrients from animal foods. You're going to get all of your nutrients from animal foods. The human digestive system resembles the digestive system of a pig, mostly a pig, and then a step below that, it mostly resembles, if pigs didn't exist, it mostly resembles a wolf's digestive system. We're omnivores, but we're very, very, very suited for meat consumption. And that can be seen in our hydrochloric acid production. For the overwhelming majority of human existence, we've been carnivorous. So if you want to look at the function of our digestive system and what is easiest to digest, you'll find that animal foods are the easiest to digest. And we're trying to get as little stress as possible and the most amount of nutrients possible. That is how you heal your digestive system. You remove all sources of damage while giving your body a bunch of building blocks. And this is why people who go on some type of elimination diet where they're only eating animal foods get fantastic results, because they're doing exactly that. Now, I'll add this in for the people who are very open-minded. I have both consumed cooked animal products and raw animal products during the journey of healing my digestive system. And what I came to conclude is that raw animal products are far easier to digest and they give me much better health results, okay? And this has been the experience of many people. You can do the process with just cooked animal products, but out of the two brothers, this guy is clearly the more successful. This guy is the better brother. The factors I talked about earlier is the exact reason why vegans have a huge problem with digestive issues, because their diet is devoid of nutrients and it places a lot of stress on the digestive system, while if you eat an animal-based diet, you're doing the exact opposite. And this is why vegans develop digestive issues and people who eat a lot of meat don't develop digestive issues. To be more specific, in animal foods, you've got a bunch of vitamin A and a bunch of collagen and a bunch of protein. And you need these to stitch up the intestines. You need this to build up the intestines. Vegans only eat plant-based protein, and that's not very bioavailable. And it is missing many amino acids. Okay, remember, carnitine, carnosine, taurine, and glycine. Vegans don't get those. And they get a fairly low amount of lysine too. They're not getting any collagen because they're not eating animal foods, and they're not getting any vitamin A because vitamin A is only found in animal foods. There is no vitamin A in plants. There's beta carotene, which can be converted to vitamin A, but it's not enough, especially for someone who has digestive issues, because they will need a lot of vitamin A. Again, why do you think someone with acne gets great results by using Accutane in the face, but then they destroy their organs? Because to some degree, this artificial bullshit vitamin A-like molecule is going to perform some of the same functions as vitamin A. It will catalyze certain reactions, and so you'll be able to build more intestinal tissue. Your leaky gut will get better, and so your acne will get better. But instead of that, instead of taking something that will give you erectile dysfunction or just liver problems in general and dry lips for the rest of your life, why don't you just consume a bunch of natural vitamin A through eating liver or through eating butter and meat and all of these things that won't harm you? Maybe I should have mentioned this earlier, but you need protein and collagen and a lot of vitamin A to create epithelial cells. Epithelial health depends on vitamin A, and if you're a vegan or you eat a lot of plant-based in your diet, you're not getting any vitamin A. Again, you need a lot of vitamin A because you've had many years of not eating vitamin A, especially if you've been vegetarian or vegan. And I'm guessing that you are vegetarian or vegan or very plant-based if you have digestive issues. Something I'll throw out there is that you need vitamin C for collagen too. Vitamin C is really important there. So, I wouldn't recommend a 100% animal-based diet unless you react badly to anything else, because many people are suffering horribly. Then they go on this elimination diet and then their symptoms subside, and then when they try to add something as simple as fruit, they get symptoms. So they have to stay on the animal-based diet. And that's because your digestive system is so damaged that it can't handle those things. So you need to wait a while and then introduce them. You need to fix all the damage first with the animal-based diet, and then you add in stuff. But again, I wouldn't recommend a 100% animal-based diet because there are nutrients that are mostly found in plants that are very beneficial, one of them being vitamin C. On the topic of plants, if you've got ulcers, the best way to treat ulcers is through drinking cabbage juice, and this is because cabbage juice is high in S-methylmethionine, also called vitamin U, I believe, and this vitamin, you could say, is very, very good for some reason at treating wounds in the digestive system. Outside of cabbage juice, through first reading and then experimenting, beetroot juice is very good at increasing hydrochloric acid production. So if you eat meat and you feel like it sits in your stomach and it doesn't really do anything, beetroot juice is a very good addition. Of course, you're not supposed to drink it with your meal. That's what we're accustomed to, drinking our beverages with our meals. But again, as you will know in the later part of the video, you can't do that. You're diluting your stomach acid and you're mixing two things that aren't supposed to be mixed. So with cabbage juice, beetroot juice, any vegetable juice that you drink for any purpose, don't drink it together with your meal. Drink it 1 hour before or 1 hour after. Don't mix stuff in your stomach. Those who have been drinking celery juice for a long period of time usually report that they fixed a lot of the digestive discomfort and the digestive issues that they used to have, most notably bloating. If you want, you can experiment with celery juice. Either it will help you or it will not. Again, you have to experiment. With anything I mention, you need to experiment and verify it for yourself. Now, if you're really down bad and you can't digest anything, then adding a little bit of grated ginger on your meals is a very good idea. Ginger juice can be added to any vegetable juice that you do too. That would work. The problem is that if you eat too much ginger, it might thin your mucus. Because remember, ginger is something very, well, if you put ginger juice in your mouth, if you drink that, you know that it will burn your throat. It does the same thing to your intestines. So first, dilute it, and second, don't consume too much of it. Because again, it's very, I wouldn't say caustic, but it's very aggressive in comparison to other vegetable juices. If I were to give you a step-by-step system, it would be this. Watch this video so that you understand what to do. Learn. Not just this video, my other videos from other creators that hopefully I trust. 2. Eliminate everything. Don't think about diet stuff. Don't think about this and that. I need to buy this, I need to do that. No. Think about all the things you need to eliminate. All the pollution and all the pollution, which is in the form of processed food, of course. So your diet is also a big source of pollution. Remove all of the bad stuff like sugar and processed vegetable oils and cooked vegetables, grains that are not organic and not prepared in a good manner, legumes, nuts and seeds. And of course, a healthy person could probably handle most food groups. The problem is, you're not a healthy person. You have digestive issues. You need to remove these things. If I were in your shoes, I would find the advice of going on an animal-based diet very hard. Because what is that? Is that the carnivore diet? Is that what I'm doing? Should I include dairy? Should I not include dairy? Some people add honey. Should I eat honey? So the thing is a very complex jumble. Let me give you the principles instead. Of course, the principles you'll find in this document called the 10 Dietary Rules. In general, satisfying those rules will also help you with any digestive issues. Raw food significantly speeds up the process. Why? Because you have to realize that to digest food, you need to pour in digestive resources. You need to pour in enzymes from the liver, enzymes from the stomach, enzymes from the pancreas, enzymes from the walls of the small intestine and the large intestine. Okay? If your food is somehow pre-digested, or if it contains a high amount of enzymes, or if it's very easy to break down, any of these three, then you'll use less digestive force, okay? And so you'll use less resources from yourself, decreasing the stress, which means that the nutrients that you do eat go toward building your digestive system. The second thing which will significantly speed up the process, and this is a very big mistake that I see most people in the animal-based space do, is people don't eat enough fat. So if you significantly increase the amount of fat that you eat, you'll make progress. You'll make a lot of progress. I believe the time in which I made the most progress was in 2020. That's the year where I fully removed all the acne. Again, when I added a bunch of fat, that is when my progress started becoming really fast. And I'm not talking about small amounts of fat. You might be thinking, oh, I should add like 5 tablespoons of butter. No, I'm not talking about 5 tablespoons of butter. I was eating between 150 to 250 grams of butter a day, raw butter. That's what I needed to do. And do you know why that is? If you only eat protein, like if you're on a carnivore diet and you're only eating steaks and your fat amount is not, Let's say you're not reaching the point where you don't want to eat fat anymore at every meal. You're not reaching your fat satiety. And to be very specific, the point where you're sitting there and eating fat and it's no longer something that you want to eat. You feel nauseated by eating too much of it. That's when you've reached your fat satiety. If you're not reaching that and you're just eating a bunch of protein and not enough fat, so let's say moderate fat, not high fat, then your body will create energy from the protein instead of the fat. This means that you've got less protein going to the lining of the digestive system and more protein being burned. You need to eat protein with fat if you want the protein to go toward building cells. The fat takes care of the energy and the protein takes care of building cells. Ultimately, both of them take care of building cells, but again, you want the fat to go toward the energy and you don't want too much of the protein being burned. There's another important trap that you can fall into if you're in the category of being underweight. And first, I want to tell you why you're underweight and why that goes in hand with digestive issues. You see, your entire digestive system is there so that you can turn food into things that your body can use. If your digestive system is damaged, then you're not very good at turning food into things that your body can use. And if you're not very good at that, then your body has less stuff to work with. If it has less stuff to work with, then naturally it will need to break itself down. And it will also make it harder for you to eat. It will tell you that, well, we can't really eat. Your appetite will be low because this stuff isn't working. So for each meal, the recovery time is much longer. All of this combined will make it so that you lose weight. So usually people with IBS, people with IBD, again, the more severe it is, the more underweight they'll be. If you're underweight, you can't just go on an animal-based diet, because when you restrict one macronutrient, what happens is you lose weight. If you go on a very low-fat diet, you'll lose weight. If you go on a very high-fat diet, low-carb diet, zero carb, you'll lose weight. If you combine both, not in the same meal necessarily, but in general in your diet, then you won't lose weight. In fact, that will be the best way to gain weight. And in many cases, your goal isn't to lose weight, your goal is to gain weight because you're underweight. It will make you much more healthy and it will give your body much more protection. If you can't gain weight, I would urge you to experiment with rice and potatoes, eaten with lots of raw fat. Okay? Lots of raw fat, and in a single meal, not with protein, not with anything else, just that, because then you'll be getting enough carbohydrates to prevent catabolism. Catabolism is when your body breaks down itself, and it needs to do that if you're not giving it a certain macronutrient. One of the most important principles in nutrition is food combinations, and this is especially important in modern society because we've got access to so much. Not only do we have access to so much, this is very uncommon knowledge. This is extremely rare knowledge, okay? You will never hear anyone, any dietitian, any nutritionist sit there and talk about this. None of them. They have no problems mixing stuff because it is very normal in modern society to create meals that are only there to satisfy your taste buds. If you need a single video refresher on this topic, then watch this video. Otherwise, I'll shortly go through it here. Meat should only be eaten with fat, okay? Or dairy. Meat, fat, and dairy, they go hand in hand. Do not combine meat with starch. Do not combine meat with fruit. Fruit can be combined with fat. It should be combined with fat so that, again, it will help you gain weight. It will also help minimize the blood sugar spike. If you're gonna eat raw vegetables for some reason, even if you're drinking raw vegetable juice, which is fine by me, that's a very good thing to do depending on your situation, then that needs to be separate. You can't mix meat, starch, dairy, or anything with raw vegetables. Now, before we move on, let's say you can't handle an animal-based diet. Let's say you can't eat meat, because when people think of animal-based diet, they think of meat, but what I'm going to recommend is also animal-based to some degree. If you can't tolerate anything and your digestion is really bad, then eat a diet that solely consists of raw eggs. Raw eggs, and then try raw fermented milk. So you leave milk outside and the bacteria eat away at it and it becomes yogurt, that stuff. Leave it out for not just until it separates, so it becomes thick, leave it out for longer until it gets really sour. I found that stuff, really fermented milk and raw eggs, those are probably the two easiest things for a human to digest. If you eat that, then you should be able to not use too many digestive resources while getting a lot of nutrients. This is if you're really down bad, usually for older people with lots of issues. Usually the people I work with are younger people with digestive issues. But if you're old and you have lots of digestive issues and you're really skinny and you don't have anything to eat, again, a family member of mine, this is what I recommended to her. Unfortunately, I don't think she did what I said, because not many people would go this route, but she's in this exact position. What she needs to do, and what you need to do if you're in this position, is lots of raw eggs, lots of raw fermented milk, lots of bacteria in general, and easily digested food, and you'll do wonders. Fermented food in general is always a recommendation, because what happens in your digestive system is food is broken down. One of the things that breaks food down is bacteria. If you let bacteria break down the food before it enters your digestive system, then you've done the job that your digestive system would have done. So now it doesn't have to do it. You get how that works? If you do the job that the digestive system would have to do before the digestive system does it, then the digestive system doesn't have to do it. So if you chew your food much more than usual, then it's going to be easier to digest. So if you feel like you have bad digestion, chew your food more. That's just another tip. Lastly, we need to talk about stress and mental health, because your digestive issues could be caused by this. This could be the sole factor. Usually it isn't, because usually you're not eating a very good diet, you're filled with pollution, you have a bunch of other problems with your organs. But this could be a factor that's preventing you from making a lot of progress, and in general from living a good life. So we need to mention it. When you're stressed, you kill cells. And since your digestive system is made of cells, you're going to be killing cells in your digestive system if you're stressed, okay? If you're a stressed person who has bad mental health, who also has digestive issues, then I guarantee that if you fix the mental health and stress stuff, your digestive system will work in a better manner. So what you need to do is you need to find some method of not being stressed. Out of all the people who have helped people with mental health in modern society without actually meeting them, I believe Eckhart Tolle takes the #1 spot. I used to have issues with anxiety and anger also, lots of anger, lots of destructive thoughts, and the one that catalyzed the process that got me out of most of that is Eckhart Tolle. How do you think that affects my digestive system now? If you truly want to have a very good digestive system, you need to eliminate stress. If you don't want to be confused like the people on the nutrition subreddit on Reddit, then read this document. It's called the 10 Dietary Rules. I've already mentioned it, but it gives you principles that any diet should follow, that any nutrition protocol should follow. It's not cookie cutter, it's just sound principles, and it doesn't have to do with any specific food. Within the free PDF, the 10 Dietary Rules, there is a free sample of my book, The 6 Health Commandments, a sample from the book, and the 6 Health Commandments is about what health actually is. With that said, go and achieve excellent health. I know you can do it.